Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mamani. I hope you all are doing good today, dear friends. You can download the PDF note of this lecture from my FB page. With this, I have a positive quote for you here, and it is about two extremes. Many times you have nothing taking place, and sometimes you find everything is going, or it is a big chaos, the life, right? So this sort of things are, of course, a challenge or a test that is taken by our life. And dear friends, I would like to inform you one thing, that today I am re-recording this lecture. I already recorded this lecture, but I found that there was a technical problem, so I'm re-recording it. So I will be as quick as possible, because we are literally running out of time. I won't be left with any slot at all. So let's go through some important bits and pieces. Of course, I'm not going to compromise with the quality, as you know. This is a very interesting article. It is about India and Pakistan. Now we know that before 1947 we were one country, same socio-economic condition, same culture, even today as well. On most of the items our taste is same, but very sadly people to people contact between this India and Pakistan and the people living in both parts of this country, we see that there is a big, or we are drifting apart from each other completely. We have drifted apart in terms of neighbors, in terms of when you talk about nation, but people to people contact, which is very important for, or which is a base for building good relationship between any two countries. So these things are not right or not good for both of us, because we are going to be neighbors forever, right? Though things are a bit bitter now, but you never know, after 50 years, maybe 20 years, you never know about future. Things may become all right between both of us. So it is very important for us to reserve this relationship that we have with each other. It may sound strange for many students out there who are not ready to, or if they are feeling a bit bad, or when I say this thing, that building relationship with Pakistan is a good option. You have to think holistically. You are going to become civil servants and officers working for the government, right? So emotions you have to keep on one side, and you have to think diplomatically, right? To think about the future generations. We don't want to see our soldiers getting killed, right, by this shellings and all these intruders, and we want peace. And of course, if you ask the people of Pakistan, they want peace as well. But you have some elements over there. I must explain this thing, or admit here, that you find there are many people in their army, there are many people in their politics. They are against India, and they are promoting this blind nationalism. But that is not something that you find only over there. You have people in our country as well. The good thing is that we don't have this type of people in our army here. We don't do we don't play this proxy war thing against Pakistan. But again, here this article is presenting a very out of the box view, and you have to have a good understanding. We should have a good understanding regarding the other side as well, like how we can sort out problems between India and Pakistan. First of all, we have to get rid of this blind nationalism that we find in both parts of the world, in both parts of this India and Pakistan. Then we have this Pak phobia in our country. You know, everything associated with Pakistan is always bad. That is not right. Because again, you have to think about this thing, that we used to be one country before 1947. We were the same people all together under one system. And you find this sort of things as well, like very strangely, these tomatoes were a couple of months ago, they were a couple of weeks ago, in fact, right, the price of tomato was 300 rupees per kilo in Lahore. At the same time, Amritsar, which is somewhere around 30 miles away from Lahore, the price of tomatoes were 40 rupees. We are missing huge trade opportunities that we can have between both the countries. At present, the bilateral trade is just $3 billion. They have to import tea from other countries. We have to import good quality leather from other countries. We can supply. There are so many things, right? There is a big list, because you know, people to people contact and same culture and same taste. So we have these opportunities, but they are not utilized, these opportunities. In terms of this region, in terms of neighborhood, we are the least integrated nations in the world. South Asia too has become the least integrated region in the world. SAARC is in coma since its inception, and this most populous region in the world, South Asia or the SAARC region, is also home to the largest number of poor people in the world. And if you ask common man in our country, if you ask an Aam Admi or common citizen of Pakistan, then you find that in both countries, right, the need is for employment, education, good healthcare facility, food and environment security and things like that. But we are spending money in something else. This is the thing, and our whole energy is invested in means many times we find this sort of issues taking place, and the whole energy, or this energy that should be utilized for sorting out things, is diverted for making things bit more bad. Connectivity, even this telecommunication connectivity is low, because if you are talking with someone in Pakistan too much, then of course you will come under the scanner of spying agency, or you can say this authorities. So in both sides you have this problem here, and all these things are not good for people to people contact. The other thing is all this hostility, all these problems going on. At the end of the day, this arms dealers, they are making money out of it. They are the ones who profit from this conflict going on between India and Pakistan. Now, China-Pakistan economic corridor is a big no-no for our country. We have rejected it because it is passing from Pak-occupied Kashmir, POK. But I have 3-4 points that are mentioned here, and this is the reason why I say this is a very interesting article. Mind you, it is written by a person who has worked in Prime Minister's office. So a senior, you can say, a bureaucrat has written this one, and he says that CPEC does not recognize POK to be Pakistan's sovereign territory. So you can take it in this way, that China is not completely saying that POK is Pakistan territory. If you go through Article 6 of 1963 China-Pakistan boundary agreement, then it states that in future, say for example, if POK will be handed over to India forever, then China will start a fresh negotiation or agreement with India, or if it is vice versa, then it will start fresh negotiation with Pakistan. So far China has not claimed, or it has not recognized POK as a sovereign territory of Pakistan. The other thing is China and Pakistan have stated that India can join this CPEC. There is no harm in joining BRI, this Belt and Road Initiative, because what is happening is we are in the fear of BRI. We are promoting this Quad, and this Quad is going to allow USA to loiter in Bay of Bengal, in Arabian Sea. They will have access in this part here, and once you allow them to come here, then it would be very difficult for us to say no to them. So this is something that we have to keep in our mind. The other thing is China and India, we are neighbors. China and Pakistan, they are neighbors. China and India and Pakistan, we are neighbors. So the things that are going on here, it is our responsibility to sort it out. This particular this topic here that we are discussing, this article, is very important for your syllabus as well. India and neighborhood policies, or relationship with our neighborhood. If you go through India's trade policy of 2015, this range is 2015 to 2020, the new trade policy, foreign trade policy, then you find it is talking about extended neighborhood, and you find Central Asia and Western China and all these regions are mentioned there, and we need to increase trade with all of them, because again we have a historical connection with them. And Chabahar, of course, is an option to access Afghanistan and Central Asia. But imagine if we have land access through Pakistan, then it will become very beneficial for all of us, for Pakistan, for all these countries, as well as for our country India. We can, with the help of China, join this Bangladesh, India, Myanmar corridor as well, and everyone will benefit out of it. So these are the things that we should keep in our mind. Tapi is a big thing for our energy security. Then you have Iran, Pakistan, India gas pipeline. That is again big thing for our energy security. So this blind nationalism and unfriendly designs of extra regional powers should be checked, and we should seriously think about building relationship. And of course, a step should be taken by Pakistan as well. in building good relationship with India, and then this whole area, this poor people living here, they will benefit out of it. This one is about high noon. Summer of 2018 is going to be very rough for all of us, because as per this IMD forecast, maximum as well as minimum temperature is going to be above normal, and even a little bit rise of temperature creates huge pressure, or it creates, you can say, huge or big troubles for the people, for the poor people who have to work out in the heat, in the open sky, right? And we find these cases of people dying, fatal heat strokes taking place every year, and you have this this cramps and fainting taking place. Someone is riding a motorcycle or something, and then you have this heat stroke and you become unconscious, and then you fall down, you become disabled, you go through massive accidents and things like that. So timely alert is a thing that can be taken by state authorities, providing enough shady areas, you can say, changing or coming out with notifications that you cannot work in open sky if your state, say for example particular state or district, is going to face this sort of things. Then steps can be taken by local administration. They can come out with rules and regulations that in the afternoon time, say for example, you cannot do construction work and things like that, or labor work that you have to do in under this open sky and things like that. And water is going to be a big problem. Water stress is something that is getting severe and severe. The only good thing in this article is that monsoon is going to be good because of La Nina. Things are going to be alright, because whenever you have this La Nina phenomena, you find good distribution of rainfall in India. Of course in other parts as well, like Australia, but here we are just concerned about India for now. So these are the steps that we can take. Pre-planning will help with this. You have a article, this one is about a gathering storm, the things that are going on around the world at present, and a report called Rule of Law Index 2017-18 is out. It is released by World Justice Project, so very important information for your prelims examination. You find this type of questions. The other thing is it takes into consideration 113 countries. India's rank is 62. Number 1 this time is Denmark, and we have performed a bit better than China, Pakistan, Myanmar and Bangladesh. It takes into consideration 8 areas. You can go through it. Of course human right is part of it, and our main focus here is this thing, the things that are going on, international human rights and how it is breached and things like that. The sad thing in this report, or what it projects, is that out of 113 countries, if you see the overall score of 71 countries, then their scores have dropped. So this means that in many parts, in many different countries, at least there are 71 countries in which you find that these 8 areas are not doing that well. You have fundamental rights and freedom of association and labor rights and privacy and expression and religion and things like that. And if you go through Amnesty International Annual Report 2017-18, that it also indicates serious erosion of international human rights law in recent times. If we have a quick glance over the world at present, then we find in Turkey, in China, this assault on civil liberties and freedoms has intensified. Minorities are facing problem in Poland and Hungary. Refugees are not looked after very well in Australia and USA. In fact, they are not allowing people to enter their border, or they are not giving this asylum to refugees. In India as well, we have seen this majoritarian attitude taking place. Hate speech and hate crimes are growing concern, and because of social media and other things, it becomes very easier to spread fake news and fake videos and fake pravachans, and there are many other things we find. I'm sure you have received this sort of things in your WhatsApp. For us who are who are a bit okay, or you can say up to date with current affairs, we can understand the things that are going on, but there are many people out there, for them it is, they take it as a matter of fact, or they take it something that is true, and this creates problem and hate. So fake news and this hate speech and things are not for our society. They are in fact very opposite to what we believe in and what we have lived so far. Mass atrocities are going on in Iraq, Myanmar, Central African Republic and Burundi and other places as well. So all over the world we are witnessing the rise of hate and these walls that are created by different countries and people, and we have to sort this thing out. And the most, you can say, the bleak part is, the pity part is here, that it is not just the erosion of human rights but the normalization of this thing. That means breaching of human right is something that is becoming more and more normal. So this is a matter of concern, and this we have this we have this Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR. They are the byproduct of the Second World War and horrors of Holocaust. We celebrated 70th anniversary this year of this UDHR, but at the same time we find the case of Rohingyas, and you know this in Philippines as well. United Nations was its envoy was not allowed to access some parts of Philippines. Same thing was done in Myanmar. So this sort of things are not going to be beneficial for the whole world, and we have to, as a world, right, as a United Nation, this is the time when UN can play a very important role. It can create change, and it can pressurize government, all those governments that are not following human rights, and if they are breaching this fundamental rights, you can say universal fundamental rights that are important for peaceful survival of everyone. If we find some countries they are breaching it, then they should be penalized or they should be fixed. This one is about opacity in the banking sector. Now, you know this fraud case that is out, and as we talked about it earlier as well, that we are going to see many different views and opinions on this thing, and this one is a good one too because it is associated with a case. An RTI was filed, and basically RBI rejected that RTI. It said that we cannot share information with you. The information was pertaining to non-performing asset and how decisions are taken and how loans are given and things like that. What do you do with a person who is a willful defaulter? And this sort of questions were asked by this RTI and application, this RTI application, and RBI rejected it, saying that if we give out this information, then this will lead to a situation where people of our country will lose faith in the banks, and this will result in, this will not be in the economic interest of our country. Then this person knocked the doors of CIC, that is Central Information Commission, and then Central Information Commission asked banks to release this information. Banks were reluctant. Finally it was in the Supreme Court, right? This whole case was dragged into the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said that this argument of RBI and other banks that providing non-performing asset details to common citizen will create this sort of situation, and it will lead to economic, it is not in the right or in favor of economic interest of our state or country. This is something baseless and misconceived and absurd. So Supreme Court has rejected this stand taken by this RBI and NABARD and other banks, and CIC has also directed disclosure of information in respect to willful defaulters and absconders. Because the thing is, say for example, if I want to know about a person, right, who has taken loan from public sector bank, and you know public sector bank, the money that you have in it is the money of Aam Admi, right? It's the money of exchequer that at the end of the day government hands over to these banks. So if someone is taking away or looting away our money, and if we don't know their name as well, if we don't know the name, and if we keep on purchasing their shares, and you know recently when this 500 names or this list was prepared, at that point of time banks said that there is no point of declaring their name. It was argued in the court that we should not declare the name of this defaulters in public because this will create problems. But the thing is, imagine if you are buying shares of this sort of willful defaulters, and one day you come to know that your everything is gone. So at one side your exchequer money is going, at the other side your investment is going. So this is something that is not, and when we include people, when people will have information regarding what's going on and how things are working in the banks, then it will, they can work as a, or they can act as an umpire or a watchdog, and this will add, you can say, a layer of scrutiny, a layer of, you can say, auditing. When people are keeping an eye on it, So it will be a bit better for everyone, for the banks as well, and gradually we can clean up this mesh that we see here in our banking sector. Now we reach news item. As I told you, I am re-recording this lecture, so I have been a bit quick, but of course I have covered all important points, rest assured, right? So this one is about 2 militants, 4 civilians are killed in Sofian gunfight, and it is very sad that we find militants holding guns and they are displaying gun in a funeral. Protests in parliament, right? The second half of the budget session has started, and the first day was completely a washout because of this bank frauds and other things. Here you have a case of army officer. Supreme Court has said that don't pursue probe against army officer. He was doing his duty here. Mehbooba Mufti government said that this officer is not accused in the FIR, but Supreme Court has not was not convinced by the state's explanation. Venugopal, who is Attorney General, also said that state should not have filed an FIR against Manoj Kumar without taking prior sanctions from the center. Oscar awards are out. Do check it out, dear friends. If you are preparing for, say, for example, bank exam, SSC, then you may find this type of GK related questions. For UPSC, you can ignore it, but for other people, I would say just have a quick glance over it. Go through the films that have got awards and name of actors and actresses who have got Oscar award for the films and things like that. Hailstorm damages rabi crop. Now rabi crops, you have wheat, you have mustard and barley growing in Rajasthan, and hailstorm has unseasonal hailstorm, rain and hailstorm destroyed or damaged this thing. So keep this thing in mind, that you find this type of questions like which crop is falling under which category, whether it is a kharif or a rabi crop. District collectors, they have to report. So this is how bureaucracy works. They will assess this this whole area, and then reports will be sent, and then compensation will be given to them and things like that. Chief Secretary level meeting will take place in Delhi, and it is associated with this Kaveri basin states, stakeholders. You have 4 states here, in fact 3 state and 1 UT. Puducherry is a UT. Then you have 3 states, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala. So meeting will take place, and Saposhi is a new threat, a malware that is looming around, and Saposhi was detected around 15 days ago. We have CERT, that is the top, you can say, agency, central government's body that deals with cyber attack in our country. More details on DDoS attack, right? What is this distributed denial of service attack? So how it works, very simply, you can understand with the help of this picture that you find in the Hindu today. I have sticked it for your consideration into today's slide. So please help yourself with it. You find MPs protesting, right? There is a demand for special status for Andhra Pradesh. Yesterday we provided a special lecture on this thing. So check out our yesterday's video, and you will find a special video lecture on this Andhra Pradesh demand. Government of India, Arun Jaitley has said that government is paying attention to it, and we will sort out these demands in near future. Government has not provided any definite timeline, but he has assured. So let's wait and watch. China, we were talking about Xi Jinping a couple of days ago. There was an article, editorial on it, and we were talking about how under Xi Jinping, China wants to develop a top level, you can say world-class military or defense system through which it can win wars around the world. And here you see they have increased allocation for their defense budget, 8.1% rise. So this is a clear indication that China is getting or flexing its muscle or getting stronger and stronger. Its GDP growth will be 6.5 as per the Prime Minister, and he said that this year we will lift 10 million people out of poverty. France has reaffirmed that it stands for this Iran nuclear deal. France foreign minister is in Iran, and you know, because of this USA, this whole deal, this Mr. Trump has for the last time, you can say reissued, or you can say extended this Iran deal. So once this 120 days period is over, then troubles are going to be there in the world community when it comes to this Iran nuclear deal. South China Sea again in news, because you find this massive aircraft carrier of USA in Vietnam, right? It has entered this South China Sea, and this is going to be a bit of problem China's ears, right? I'm sure it will be raised, and it would be on a very high alert. This sort of activities are not appreciated by China. Reserve Bank of India has said that it is going to inject 1 lakh crore rupees in the banks, and this will add more liquidity, more flexibility, and the rates may come down too because of extra money in the pockets of the banks. We know yesterday it was in news that SBI, was it yesterday or day before yesterday, SBI raised its lending rate. So loans, car loans and home loans became a bit expensive, but this sort of injection will ease that high interest rate. Services are a bit down, and you have Nikkei India Services Business Activity Index, and a reading above 50 implies an expansion, while one below 50 denotes contraction. So 40.7 in February, that is below 50, so it is contraction. And you have the Sumatran tiger being killed. It is a critically endangered species. You find it in the Sumatra region of Indonesia, and it is killed because of this human animal conflict. And it is not a tiger's fault, because we are the ones who are chopping off these trees and forests. Nearly a fifth of Europe's wood beetle species face extinction because of old decaying trees on which they depend for their survival are cleared from the forest. And last item is again associated with environment. In Gir, right, Gir sanctuary, that is in Gujarat, as per 2015 census, there were 523 lions. And we saw this a total of 184 lions died in the states in 2 years, 104 in 2016 and 80 in 2017. And many deaths are taking place because of this unnatural causes, open wells as well as accidents by train. So we have to work on it, or else we will basically, we won't be able to see this last, or you can say the only species of Asiatic lions that is found only in our country. These are your answers, these are your questions, and that's everything that I have got here. I'll see you all soon. Enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.